All right. I believe we are live right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good evening, everybody. If you are watching us live, let me know that you are watching. Go ahead and comment. Very excited about tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Good evening, Robert. Good evening, Discovery Church host. Good evening, Janelle. Good evening, baby mama Gardner. Love it. Love it. I'm so excited for tonight. All right, let's see here. Whoa, this music. Let's change that, huh? Right on. Good evening, Paula. So, for those of you that are viewing us, if you want to comment, I believe you got to sign into your Gmail account. So, we'd love to chat with you. We'll get the party started in 3 minutes. While everyone's logging on again, welcome. Super excited about tonight. We're going to have my friend Mark Graham from AIM, Agape International Missions, and he's going to share a little bit about their organization, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So, good evening, Mariah. Let's see here. Right on. Looks like people are popping on. Hello, Judy. This is so cool. Janice, good evening. Awesome. I love this. Excited for the live stream. So am I. Hey, wait till you guys meet Mark. He's phenomenal. You guys are going to love him. Good evening, Debbie. It's amazing how y'all showed up thick at 6:30 in the morning. So hopefully we can at least hit those numbers. Maybe we're just the morning church. I don't know. Sweet. All right. Well, hey guys, welcome once again. So glad that you are here. We're going to start. As I'm sure there's more people that are going to be coming on. I think you could actually share this too. So if you are part of Facebook, maybe go ahead and share this. I think it's going to be a great message or opportunity just to hear about this amazing message of this organization. And so I am ready for the block party this Sunday. So tonight we have the privilege to chat with my friend Mark Graham. He'll be able to correct me on this when he comes on, but the church engagement officer for AIM. And so Mark and I, we kind of just met, but it feels like we've known each other for a long time. And so without further ado, I'm going to get my friend Mark on here, and then y'all can say hi to Mark. Let's see if I can do this.
Oh, look at that.
There we go.
You did it.
I did it. I'm so happy. Oh my goodness. How's it going?
I'm good, man. How about you?
Doing good, brother.
I see you wearing your AIM shirt tonight.
Yes. Bro, so the first, I wore this like 3 Sundays ago, and people are like, what is this heart? And I was like, it's a secret, I'll tell you. And then, so yeah, I was just sharing with them about it. But yeah, man, this is so cool. Hey, for everybody that's watching live, Mark is Eastern Standard Time. Is that correct?
Eastern Standard, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like middle of the night.
So it's like 12 midnight there. Yeah.
It's 9:30.
So it's so awesome. Golly, dude. Hey, you're such an amazing person for being down to stay up late.
Hey, it's fun, man. It's fun hanging out with you, getting to hang out with your church. And yeah, so I'm just excited for the opportunity to be with you guys.
Awesome, man. Well, so I think before we get started, before I let you share a little bit about the organization, just want to share with everyone how we met. We met in Wyoming, right?
Oh, yeah.
At a refuge. What is that called? Like just a refuge?
Refuge Foundation is the name of the organization. And so we were at a ranch. Sounds very cool, right? We're at a ranch.
Yes. We were at a ranch and we rode horses together. I tried to ride a horse. And I feel
successfully rode a horse. You rode a horse. You guided a horse through obstacles.
Kind of. I needed a little help. But yeah, I feel like that's where we really connected, was on that horseback ride. And then we had just I shared my contact with you, and I really fell in love with AIM and what you guys are doing. especially, and I think whenever we had talked a while back, I was very, uh, I was excited about this, especially because of that movie that had just come out and all of like the conversations that it created um, with with uh, with human trafficking, and so it was really cool that I think how God just like intertwined discovery with you, which essentially is aim. So, um, man, I was just thinking if you could just share a little bit about the organization that you are part of, and maybe we can just start with that.
Yeah, so I'll start kind of broad picture, and then we can dive in wherever you want to take a deeper look. So AIM's been around since 2005, and we launched in the country of Cambodia at the time with the original intent to be an aftercare provider for girls who were being rescued out of sex trafficking. So we launched over there. And really kind of the fast version of this was really had a kind of a rude awakening to the many layers and complexities that are sex trafficking. And that really kind of was the catalyst to develop into what we are today, which is really taking a holistic approach to taking on the battle against human trafficking. And our specific area that we focus on predominantly is eradicating child sex trafficking. And so we do four main things. We internally, we often call them our four pillars. And so um, we do rescues. So we have a SWAT team that works hand in hand with Cambodian law enforcement to go in and do rescues, raids, arrests, all of that. And they actually have a legal side of that that helps walk along survivors should they need to testify or anything like that. And that actually wasn't launched until 2014. And so there's whole other stories behind all of that and how that came about. But since 2014, they've been a part of over 1,600 rescues and over 500 arrests. And so just really doing some incredible work, which then leads right into our aftercare. And so aftercare is kind of our second pillar, and that's providing those aftercare services for those who have been brought out of sex trafficking. And so obviously we can dive into that more. And then our third pillar is our reintegration pillar. And that's all about empowerment, employment, vocational training, job skills, mentorship, discipleship, all of that is a part of that. So the shirt you have on and the shirt I have on, actually both were made in our employment center. And so these were made by women who are being protected from trafficking. And so it's just part of the skill set that they're learning, because it's also transferable skills they can then take out into the marketplace in Cambodia. And so that's part of the reason we do that. Now they also do jewelry making, and they can also learn a variety of other skills as a part of that experience. And then our fourth pillar is our prevention pillar. And so in prevention, we ask two big questions. The first question is, how do we address vulnerabilities in our community? Because trafficking is a crime of opportunity. They prey on the most vulnerable. And so within that, we have a school that provides education for the poorest of the poor kids in the region. And obviously we can dive into that if we want to go there, but that's kindergarten through sixth grade. And we have an English academy. It's about 800 students roughly in that. We have emergency family care. We would equate it to a foster care type of situation, being able to step in and provide care in the immediate need should that arise. We then have a church called Rahab's House Church, and that was actually the birthplace of most of our ministries. We planted that church back in the community of Swaipak, which was a red light district community in Cambodia back in 2007. And so that's been an outpost of ministry, a center of hope, all those types of things. And they run a kids club 5 days a week. And then flip to the other question we ask. The other question we ask is, how can we confront demand, right? How do we shift and reshape the hearts of men who are out there offending, trafficking, all those types of things? And so we started a Muay Thai boxing gym as a way to mentor and disciple young men. So typically it's late teens, early 20s, guys coming in, and the avenue of Muay Thai is what helps get them in the door. But we leverage that time for mentorship and discipleship is priority number one with those guys. And it's been pretty cool. And just some amazing stories have come of guys who have been gang members and come in, found Christ, And now I've actually gone on to be pretty incredible fighters. Ultimately, one guy has won a gold at the Southeast Asian Games just a couple months ago. So just recently, he just won. And so he's very outspoken about his faith and just the transformation he's experienced into that journey. So those are our 4 pillars. Like I said, we can dive into any of those that you want, but that's kind of the high level view of just the various things that we do. And all of that encompasses our holistic approach. And then the next kind of layer of that is we're now launching into the country of Belize, much in the same way we launched in Cambodia. Aftercare first, and then begin to build around that. So we're in the initial phase of that right now.
Okay, that's awesome, man. Could you just list out and maybe the Discovery Church hosts, they could write down the 4 pillars again?
Yeah, so it's rescue, restoration, reintegration, and prevention. So rescue, restoration, reintegration, prevention.
Okay.
And then all of our programs fall into one of those 4 pillars.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing. So rescue, you were saying that is that's where people are actually going into like situations and literally rescuing. You said, I wrote it down, that children, that's kind of your guys' main target.
Yeah.
Of rescuing children.
Yeah. So like about 40% of those we rescue are minors. So now it's not just, so we really, our SWAT team focuses on is sex trafficking cases. And so they're oftentimes casing places, surveilling places that are suspected as brothels. So there have been times, and even just recent times, where they've done raids that have been brothels fronting as legitimate businesses, cafes, massage parlors, things like that. And so they do all that. They do everything that we envision with SWAT. They surveil, they collect information, they do an investigation, they then go present that to the police. They then go in together and do the rescues, the arrests, all of that together. And so, so then kind of at the end of that rescue moment, they then help them get into an aftercare situation. So the minors, they then are taken to the AIM Restoration Center. Adult women have the option where they can be receive care at one of our transition homes, or even there's some social services available to them as well. So there's just some options there. But the SWAT team always they always need aftercare space to be able to provide rescue. So that sometimes can create that tension of like, man, we know where they are, we know how to get them out, but sometimes we just don't have capacity. And so that sometimes causes that problem of going like, and so those are actually some challenges we're working as an organization to work on generating some more capacity. And we've got some stuff in the works right now that we're working on to try to do that.
That's phenomenal, man. And then, so the reintegration, that is the part where, like the shirt that it's like job training, I guess is the best way to.
Yeah. So they're gainfully employed at the employment center. It's a living wage. They can do English classes. There's other things that they can do as far as just growth, opportunity. They train them and teach them job skills. Like one of the cool places, they have a training room in there where they teach them how to like service the sewing machine. So say you want to go out and start your own business, they're going to teach you all the elements that go into that, as far as like how to operate the machine, how to fix it, how to work on it, so that you're pretty self-sustaining when you step out, if you want to do something like that. So it's not just come in and sew. So like your shirt and my shirt, for an example. And this goes for anybody. So say Discovery wants to order some custom made shirts. You can order custom shirts. They will source your fabric ethically. So we have a whole color palette. So they have a whole color palette of stuff they do, but they ethically source your fabric. They'll then take your fabric out on these gigantic rolls, and they're going to cut it out, and they're going to sew it. They're going to print it, and they're going to ship it directly to you. And it's going to have a hem tag, like yours has a tag on it. Just kind of, everyone's is hand signed by the woman who made it.
Right.
Just as a way to connect people to that freedom story of like, hey, something as simple as a t-shirt is helping empower women on the other side of the world, and it's helping
Yeah.
protect a woman from being trafficked. And so it's just trying to connect people in just some simple, tangible ways when we're talking about this huge global issue, that they can feel like, oh, I can do that. And that's a big thing for us, is just helping people understand that, yes, you can do simple things that make a huge difference in this fight.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I gotta tell you, like whenever I got the shirt, even the bracelet was really cool too. I gave the bracelet to my wife, but the tag on the shirt with her name, the
Hmm.
person that made it, I was like, wow, that's so cool. Just to see that, it was really really awesome,
Yeah.
really awesome. Wow, man. So like, those four pillars are amazing. And for those that are joining us online live, uh, those four pillars, if you could think of questions, hold your question, but we'll get an opportunity for you to ask uh, a question if there's something pertaining to one of those four pillars towards the end. I think it would be cool, Mark. You had shared some of like just some cool stories of just how God has used AIM to rescue some people. I think one of my favorite one was, I always get the story mixed up, but how like one of the houses that was used has like is now
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah. I
AIM.
know what you're talking about. Yep.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So kind of set the stage for this. I talked about how our church was planted in the community of Swipak. So if we were to go back in time to the early 2000s, the community of Swipak was a red light district, meaning very public sale of children, streets lined with brothels, pedophiles traveling from all over the world to this single street in this small community about 7 miles out of the city of Phnom Penh, the capital city of Cambodia. And so at the time, Swipak was the epicenter of child sex trafficking in Cambodia, if not all of Southeast Asia. So very, very prominent in that area. So this is where we launched the church. And so they didn't want the church there. I mean, the early stories of the church starting from the pastor who started, for me, at times, having talked with him, it felt like you're hearing about a modern day book of Acts being lived out, of just persecution. I mean, death threats, all these kinds of crazy stories about people banging on their door, threatening them, and just all this stuff. But you fast forward a little bit at a time, they're starting to do some different stuff. They started kids club, and we'd equate it to like a children's ministry, VBS, um, really just showing up every single day to bring the tangible love of Christ into a dark, dark place. And they just did it day after day after day. So word began to spread that AIM was moving into the community, and right, mixed emotions. People weren't really excited, but it was starting to get out. So there's a large building on the street that was being constructed by a businessman to become a hotel for pedophiles. And that's what he set out to build, because he saw it as a business opportunity, because all these people were traveling into the city and this is what they were doing. And so he thought, I'll build this building. I'm going to make money off of this. Well, during the construction phase, he got wind that AIM was moving in and what they were there to do. So he halted construction. And so in doing so, that actually provided us a really unique opportunity. The only thing that has ever existed in that building has been AIM. We were able to take the building over, and it began to house the church. And to this day, it still houses the church. The church is about 200 to 300
Wow.
strong. It was the birthplace of the school. The AIM school was born in that building. It's gone on to do so much good and become so much of a ministry center that it's pretty incredible. Now,
Wow.
the crazy part about that is that's the story of just one of our buildings. Many of our buildings have a bit of a story like that go with them, that at one point they were used for darkness, and God began to shift it to be used for light, where they've become ministry centers. They've become emergency family care. They've become
Wow.
the Lord's gym. Like, they've become all of these things in time where it was like, this is how it was used for evil, and God began to redeem it and use it for good. And so, yeah, we've got stories like that it's just pretty crazy. And just to this, like today, if you were to walk the streets of Swipak, it looks totally different than it did those days.
Wow.
But it took years for that transformation to take place. And so it was just every single day of people showing up, just showing up, right? Showing up and be the presence of Christ among the darkness, and God just began to do some incredible work and just life change and transformation, and just right. There's so many stories that filter out from there. But was that the story you were thinking of?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. Wow. So I didn't realize that there were for every building that there's some type of background story.
Well,
Like,
from most of our early buildings, some of those buildings actually been torn down. So one of our very first buildings had been a brothel, and it's now actually been torn down. But like our employment center is actually a giant a warehouse now. Like it's just this huge warehouse now, and the school is in a whole different building now. The school's just beautiful. It's like 4 floors, and but most of our early buildings have stories like that. And since then we've kind of shifted around and done different things. Just because of capacity. But yeah, early on, because that was mostly what that community was known for. That's really what existed right in this one stretch of where they launched, which to me, I am always amazed at their boldness of those early days, that they had the courage to just go in and set up shop right there on that street.
that's so crazy.
And so it's wild because today it's like it's paved. It was dirt for so long, it's paved. Kids can rollerblade at night. Like, it's a world of difference. But it's, yeah, I'm always amazed as I hear some of the early stories that have come out of there. From our team.
Wow, man. That's so cool. So what, because we talked about this a little bit, just what it looks like for a church to partner with AIM. I mean, obviously there's the financial side of it, which you and I have talked about, and I shared with the church this past Sunday, how we're jumping on board with that. But you had also mentioned that there was opportunities about missions. Is that, did I misunderstand you, or is that
No,
accurate?
that's right. Spot on. Yeah.
So what does that look like?
Yeah. So even for myself, that's how I got to know AIM years ago, was on a mission trip. I had an opportunity to go to Cambodia a handful of times when I was a pastor out in Las Vegas. And those were obviously transformational for me. It led to me being to where I am today on the team here. But so a short-term team, when they come over and serve in Cambodia with us, most often they will serve in our prevention ministries. And a lot of that is people oftentimes want to go with, let's be honest, people want to go with the SWAT team. I'd be lying if I hadn't asked if I could go.
Yes.
But in their wisdom, they look at me and they're like, no, you would be a liability. And right. Cause I'd be in there like, getting everybody, or in my mind, that's what it looks like. But yeah, they're like, no, you can't do that.
Machine gun preacher.
Right. Yeah. They're like, we're actually professionals that know what we're doing, and you're not. So there is that. And we don't take groups into our restoration. And a lot of that's just because, one, the privacy of the girls, safety, security, and consistently. We never want them to be on parade where people are just kind of coming and going.
Yeah, that's good.
And so consistency is very, very key in that aftercare process. And so that's part of that, of just, and we try to explain to people just so that they understand it's not, it's just all, no, there's a very real reason why we do that. And we want them to feel safe and secure and just all that. So that's part of that. So, and then sometimes teams have helped in the reintegration of just if they've got training or skills and stuff that they can help in that realm. But a lot of times those are people who have more specialized types of skills that can jump in there. Because you and I would not be good at making a t-shirt, right? Let's just be honest. So there's that. Prevention ministries, a lot of times groups will come in and they'll serve with our church. They partner right alongside of Rahab's House Church, and they do ministry in the community. A lot of times groups will jump in with Kids Club, we've had groups come in and serve in Lord's Gym. I brought guys over years ago that served in the Lord's Gym. They did training. Some guys even came in and learned and fought with the guys. We had a buddy of mine fought in the UFC for a little while. He came over and trained with the guys, and
wow,
it was awesome for both. Both of them loved it. So really, from a big view, we want to plug you in to the ministry flow that we have on a daily basis. So we're not going to disrupt our flow to go, oh, your group's here. Oh, here, let's come up with this now. Let's come up with this now. We're going to talk to your group, and we're going to say, hey, man, John, tell me about your group. Tell me the people you're bringing. Tell me their backgrounds, stories. We want to plug you in. We want to use you. We're going to pair you with a real-time need that one of our program leaders has identified. And so we've had groups that came in this year. They've helped facilitate some kids camps, because the church is like, we would love to pull off a kids camp. We just need some manpower to help us make this happen. So we've had groups that have come in and are like, we're in. And so they've gone away for like an overnight trip and done a big kids camp for the kids at the church.
Wow.
So those are examples. We've had groups that have come in and actually done some big murals. They were art students, and they came into these big murals that the school was like, the school needs some updating on some places. And they were like, we can do that. And so we're going to pair you with a real-time need from one of our program leaders, and we're going to put you in the flow of things, and we're not going to disrupt stuff. And so, but you're going to serve alongside of our team members, our Cambodian staff. We have 375 staff in Cambodia, and you're just going to jump right in, and you're going to be part of the ministry flow during the week. We're going to invite you to be at church on Sunday to worship with our team there, just be a part of it. And so yeah, you're typically in country. You would leave on a Thursday from the States, and you would arrive in Cambodia on a Saturday because of the dateline transfer. You serve in the we help you organize just some things on the front end, because here's what a lot of people wrestle with. This is me personally. How could somebody do this, right? When you begin to understand that there's a lot of times parents are selling their kids into this, or being lured into this, and you're like, how in the world can this happen? Why, how? And you deal with that, wrestle with that anger. Part of what we help your team do is prepare to help understand the history of Cambodia and how it has led to the Cambodia of today. So it's backtracking all the way back into the 70s and understanding the genocide that took place and how that is fast forwarded to where we are today, and just the generational trauma. So there's some things we really encourage groups to do when they come in on that Saturday, Sunday, to go to the killing fields, go to the genocide museum. You need to see those things. You need to experience those things, because it begins to shift you into a mode of compassion for the people in Cambodia. It's a beautiful country, and they're beautiful people, but that begins to help frame that for you, because you can really wrestle with that as you navigate just trying to understand how or why. And so we really try to help you do some of that on the front end, and then you come to church Sunday, and then you're going to serve all week long there. And the teams will typically take off the following Saturday and come back. So Thursday to Saturday, usually.
So it's a fairly lengthy trip.
Yeah. A lot of it has to do with the length of travel. Like the time over, you're leaving Thursday, and you're not arriving until, well, for you guys, you'd leave like almost midnight, because you're close to San Francisco. You just drive down to San Francisco and fly out of San Francisco over. But yeah, it's you lose all day Friday in a plane, and then you land on a Saturday in Southeast Asia, and so it messes with you. It's the time change. You're like, I don't know what day it is. I don't know what time it is. And then the way home is Saturday all the way home. You leave on Saturday and you get home on Saturday. So that'll mess with you too.
Wow. Huh. That's amazing, man. That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's such a great opportunity to be able to just do that. And so is there a certain time of year when churches do that, or is it whenever?
We do trips all year long. And so we have a team over there that helps host you, set you up, all that kind of stuff. And so they do them year round. They're mindful of Cambodian holidays. So sometimes the schedule is a little bit different, just because we're used to US holidays, but they build it around the Cambodian holiday schedule. And so sometimes it's just working through some of that to go, hey, I got these dates. And I'm like, oh, those are holidays. So they're very mindful of that, to make sure that we incorporate teams during times trying to help the staff have time off, that kind of stuff. But yeah. So our 2024 calendar is pretty much full. I think we have a week left. And so we're going to start opening up the 2025 calendar, which is so weird to think. But but the other thing to keep in mind too is we're actually looking at some point to open the calendar for 2024 for Belize. As we get more and more of that underway, some of that will begin to open up for trips and opportunities to serve there alongside of our team that is launching down there.
Wow. Okay. So right now there's Cambodia, and then there's going to be Belize.
Yep. So Belize is in the process of getting the aftercare underway. And so that process is pretty far down the road now. They've been there a little while now. And so it's almost go time for them to get started. And so they've been doing a lot of groundwork for the last months to get to this point. And so we're really, really, really close to this. Hopefully
Yeah.
we'll have some more concrete dates here in the coming weeks as to what that looks like. But yeah, it's been quite the journey to get Belize up and going, but it's there, man. It's coming. And so we're pretty
So
excited
cool.
as a team for that.
So cool. Awesome, man. Well, I want to be respectful of your time, and so maybe we can spend the last few minutes. If anyone who's watching online has a question that they want to submit, or if you keep it short, we can have you pop in on the camera. But yeah, so we'd love to hear any questions that you have for Mark. Um, maybe it's a question about the four pillars, or maybe it's a question about partnership. We'd love to. We'd love to hear. I know there's we just got done doing 21 days of prayer, and we were doing morning prayer, and there's like this 15-second delay, so it always felt weird asking a question and thinking like everyone was like, "John, you suck," and then the questions start coming in. So I don't know. We'll see if that is accurate. So again, if you have any questions for Mark in regards to AIM, what are the four pillars, what missions could look like, yeah, anything. While we're waiting to see if there's any questions, what was, and you might have said this already, so I apologize, but why did AIM choose Belize and Cambodia?
So Cambodia was our co-founders, Don and Bridget Brewster, were in California at the time. So they launched out of Roseville, California. So just a couple hours from you guys. They had been over in Cambodia on a mission trip. Don had been a pastor there in Roseville. And so they were in Cambodia, did a mission trip, traveled all over the country, came home, and they saw this documentary on the child sex trafficking epidemic in Cambodia at the time, and were blown away because no one spoke of it while they were in Cambodia. And so they contacted their contact, and their contact was like, "Yeah, that's not a problem here." And they were like, "Okay, that's weird because this film and all this stuff." And so the contact called him back in a couple of weeks and was like, "I'm so sorry. Like I explored this and really dug, and it's a big problem." Like they go back. And so this kind of started this journey for them to go like, we've got to do something. Like this really deeply unsettled them. And so they formalized a plan to go over and provide aftercare. And they initially thought, we're going to take it to our church and somebody's going to jump in. They're going to want to take it and run with it. And nobody did. And so they just kept taking step after step after step. And Don and Bridget were in their 50s at the time they launched. And so they're right in their early 70s right now. And so they just kept taking these steps. And so ultimately, because of Cambodia's history and just what was happening and all that. So Belize is a little similar in the sense our country directors, the holders, came over to Cambodia and they worked 2 years to shadow Don and Bridget, but also learn. And then they've launched out and just kind of explored South and Central America, Belize, just some government connections as far as just openness to AIM's programs, and just some doors and stuff began to open as they began to explore a little bit more during that process. And so there's some strategy behind Belize as far as it's English speaking country. It's easy to get kind of started and established in. There's trafficking that goes through it. There's not a lot of services being provided there. But a lot of it was just the willingness to have our programs in country. And so that's a big part of that too. Just like I said, it's kind of the oversimplified version of it. Just the series of doors that opened and that exploration period really brought Belize to the surface of just some key things that we learned during our time in Cambodia that were like, oh, if this and this are in play, then this really helps move things along. And those things all kind of came into play as the exploration of Belize happened. And so,
Okay.
yeah. So, and even during that, we've actually helped open an aftercare home for women in Belize already. And so our focus is serving underage girls, but we were able to open a home for women in partnership with an existing organization. They had a facility. We brought the program, helped run that for probably 6 months. And then this past spring, fully handed that over to them, shifted our focus fully over to get the next phase of this up and running. So that's actually already happened. That was a big part of what they did in the initial, probably first year. And so now we're full on into the next phase of this.
Okay. Awesome, man. So I do have a couple questions. I'm not sure. Can you see that on the screen?
I can.
Okay. So Debbie's asking, is there an average length of time that the children stay in restoration before moving to the next
Yeah,
pillar?
it's a great question. So on average, it's about 18 to 24 months. And sometimes that can vary, depend on if they're younger or older, as far as just if they're a teenager or if they're younger. The goal with restoration is reunification with the family. That's the goal. And so
Oh,
our social workers go out like day one and start working and exploring with the family what reunification is going to take to get there, and start trying to work towards that in the long run. So um, that's a typical average, is about 18 to 24 months there for that, before they typically either transition onto a transition home and work towards that independence as they're older, or really work back into the family for
okay.
that. But obviously that varies just based on how they're working through just the whole aftercare process. But that's
Right.
about the average.
Okay. Well, I love the goal of trying to like bring him the families back
Yeah.
together.
That
That's
that's
really
the that's
cool.
the that's the heartbeat, because again that's that transformation that takes place, and it
Yeah.
goes to the root level. And so it's not just us going, hey, we took care of everybody and we just kept everybody. It's like if we want to see this change, it's got to be changing at those root levels. And so really just trying to forge relationships with those families, begin to start working with them day one as a part of that process.
Yeah. That's so cool. I have another one. Yeah. I could read it out loud if you want me to.
No, I'm reading. I was just reading it, John. Now I got to start over. Okay, so the traffickers that are part of the Lord's gym, do they come themselves, or have you taken them in to help with that level of restoration? So great question. So most of the guys that come in through the gym come in through relational connections with the guys in the gym. The coach in the gym has a huge heartbeat for the young men in the SWIPOC area. So he's going out building relationships, and then they're sending these other guys out. So the gym is very, I would say, renowned. It's well known in the country, but also very well known in that community. So there is a bit of, they want to come train there because they like Muay Thai boxing, and it's top notch. Like you walk in, I mean, you think about it, it's like, I would say very comparable to some of the gyms you guys probably go to. It used to be like a hole in the wall, and then about 2 to 3 years ago, we were able to construct a very nice gym, like weight rack, like squat racks and weights, and a full size
Wow.
boxing ring in there, a giant matted floor with heavy bags, like with the whole goal of just being very tractional to these guys who would otherwise probably not step foot in the church or be open to that. But so it's kind of a more relational, word of mouth, invitation type of thing for these guys. But our heartbeat is for the young men in the SWIPOC community, and it's very it's not uncommon for them to find themselves in gangs or drugs, things like that. That's very common in that area. So they're really trying to leverage the gym in that way. So yeah, but the coach, huge heart for discipleship, and very, very passionate about the community of SWIPOC.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thanks for the question, Debbie and Mariah. Um, it doesn't look like there's any more questions. Is there anything that I have not asked, Mark, that you think would be just good for us to know?
Yeah, I think, and this is always in the back of my mind, because I think this probably comes off of our conversation of probably touching base on the film, and maybe we chatted about this last time, but I think a lot of people, when confronted with this issue, go, "What do I do? What is somebody like me who maybe I'm not law enforcement, maybe I don't have a degree, counseling or any certifications in therapy or anything like that. Like, what do I do?" Because that's the journey I had, right? I go to Cambodia, I go and I see things, and I still have things that I can recall like that, of stuff I've seen over there during the trips that we were on, that still come back to me, but they really stirred me to go, like, I have to do something. And so for a long time I wrestled, right? I was a pastor at the time, and I, come home, I'm like, oh, I'm just a pastor. What am I going to do? I can't go on raids and rescues. And so really kind of taking that journey of, what are we doing? I think if you've gone and seen The Sound of Freedom, you've probably felt that. You've seen the film, you feel the weight of that on your shoulders, of like 49 million people are enslaved right now. as we sit here on this conversation, 49 million people.
It's crazy.
Right. And if that's where we ended our conversation tonight, people are like, well, I'm very discouraged. Like, what am I supposed to do? Right. But that's a lot of times what people feel when they're confronted with this issue is like, we can, I think a lot of what we've done tonight is we've been able to share some very hopeful stories and really talk a lot about what God's doing. And that's what we really want to do. But I think a lot of times if you're confronted with this in many ways, like you can easily just be buried under the weight and feel like I can never do anything. So what I really try to encourage people with is everybody can do something. Right. We talked about the shirts and how just something as simple as buying a shirt is providing and securing freedom for somebody on the other side of the world. So when it comes to anybody doing something, you ask two questions. And I'll focus really on the main one is how do you address the vulnerabilities where you live? Right. If you're thinking in your community where you guys are established in the Santa Rosa area, you ask the question, who is vulnerable in our community, in our region? Right. Who's the most susceptible, right? And we know on the state side, we know that it's most often those who are impacted by the foster system, right? That's huge in the U.S. They're a very, very vulnerable population. You talk about people experiencing homelessness, people experiencing addiction. You talk about the main things that we most often are already serving. Here's the catch. The reality is most of the time churches are already doing these things, but they haven't connected the dot to how it is actually preventing trafficking from happening. Because when you erase the vulnerable population, you erase the people group that are being targeted by traffickers, because they're going to take the path of least resistance to try to lure somebody into trafficking. Right. There's also a need for mental health care. That's huge. Traffickers prey on people who are maybe they're struggling with their mental health. Maybe they're just vulnerable in that way relationally, or they can just be preyed upon that way. So it's like build healthy communities, build a strong core of discipleship, like all of those things that you're already doing. It's just helping people understand that when we're doing this, we're preventing trafficking before it ever starts. And we're going to begin to serve people, resource people, and raise them up out of their vulnerable status so that they're not preyed upon, so that nobody's going to target them for trafficking. And so that's something I try to encourage people like, hey, we can all do that. Right? We can all invest in somebody. We can all pour into somebody. We can all help raise up the next generation with a strong, healthy identity in Christ. We can all empower and resource families. We can all help support the foster system in some way. Right? Maybe not everybody's going to be a foster family, but they can find ways to support their local CASA advocates or their foster office or something like that. But it's just trying to help people understand, hey, the reality is you've probably already got some partnerships there in your area that are serving these people groups. Right. Just double down on them, right? Encourage your people, help people understand, man, when we're doing this, we're helping prevent trafficking from happening. Because really, it's the same question we ask when we're serving in Cambodia. The same types of things that we're doing. We're just looking at the vulnerable people in our community, and we're tailoring our ministry to those needs. Same thing you're going to do there in the community, and you're most likely already doing it. And so just helping people connect the dots between the two things, help them understand, yes, you can make a difference in this. You can begin to change somebody's future, prevent something from happening, all those things, just by simply beginning to serve the vulnerable people in your community. So I hope that's encouraging to people, and just really trying to break it down in a very simple way that people go like, okay, I can totally do that and make a difference. Because I think a lot of people, if you go see the film Sound of Freedom, you're going to want to go and you're going to try to rescue. You're going to want to rescue everybody, and that's where it feels almost defeating because you're like, I can't do that. I don't have that training and all that. But when you go like, yeah, but you can serve people in your community, right? You can serve them, raise them up out of their vulnerable situation. You can help empower the ministries in your community that are making a difference in those populations. That's how we begin to really kind of shift the tide. And that's why we fully believe that the church and Christ through the church is going to bring an end to human trafficking. And that's our vision, man. We're all in on that. And so anyway, if we can serve the church to that end, man, that's a heartbeat as we serve churches.
That's good
in that way. So like I said, that's why this conversation is so important to me, but also we just appreciate and value that.
Yeah, that's good, man. Thank you. So there are a couple people that ask, can they sponsor a child? Is that something that you guys do, or how does?
No, we don't have child sponsorship necessarily. We have We have what's called the Pulse. That's our monthly donors. And so they can, you can get on aimfree.org, AIM free.org. And there's information about the Pulse on there. And that's our group of monthly donors that are just empowering ministry on the front lines. If that's something that people are interested in checking out. But yeah, we don't have a sponsorship program in that way. And so, yeah, but people can feel free to check the Pulse out. That's a great community. They do tons of cool stuff. We have a gal here on our team, on the stateside team, that really has done some cool stuff. They share regular updates, and they've really created into a community and do some really neat events together, just to share what God's doing and how those people are helping make that happen as they give, and the generosity that comes in through that group of people in the Pulse.
Awesome, man. Mark, well, I am so grateful again, man, for you willing to stay up till midnight where you're at and and just share with us. And we are excited. I speak on behalf of Discovery. We're excited to be able to partner and serve with AIM through financial giving, and then eventually we'd love to have feet on the ground over in Cambodia or Belize at some point, and just be part of what you're doing, man. So it's such an honor to just have this conversation with you, and privilege to call you friend, man. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, man. It's truly a privilege to be able to be with you guys, and just encouraged by this, encouraged even just the feedback you share with me about Sunday, just the excitement that you all had. And so that to us is very, very encouraging as we hear that. That's kind of what keeps our team going. Just knowing that we have people in this with us, and that you guys make a huge difference. And I'm excited for the day you guys get to put some feet on the ground and just see and stand in the presence of just what God's doing, and just begin to see some of that transformation with your own eyes. And it's just, it does blow you away when you begin to understand where it's come from and where it is today. And you just see, it's like, yeah, that's a God thing. Like, and there's so many stories that illustrate that over the time, and you'll learn those as you go along. But it's always just humbling as you get to see some of that kind of stuff up close, and meet some of those team members on the ground that are doing just such incredible work day in and day out.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Well, thank you again. Appreciate you, everyone. Oh, let's see. I'm sorry. That person doesn't understand what trafficking is. We have trafficking people in our own city. See the movie, support the boots on the ground ministry, spread awareness. Good job, Mark. Yeah. So Paula Brown, she is part of she's one of the founders of the homeless help, if you will, in our city.
Awesome.
And so they're doing amazing things, and so thank you, Paula. But yeah, man, so hey, I appreciate it. Sorry for going a little bit over what I had told you time wise.
No worries. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, it's been awesome. So my wife and my kids, we're about to go support a student center ministry here in our city that sells ice cream, and so we're gonna we don't say that we're getting dessert. We say that we're sowing into their ministry.
Smart, because then it doesn't count against you, right? It doesn't count against you.
Exactly. Then the calories are nothing, sugar's nothing. Nope. So, yeah, man. But anyways, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you, man, and we look forward to just being part of AIM, man. So thank you.
So glad to have you guys on board, man. Appreciate it.
Awesome, brother. I will see you. Talk to you soon.
All right, man. See you guys.
All right, brother. Okay. Bye-bye. Awesome. Hey, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Hopefully you were able to catch a glimpse into what AIM is all about. And I appreciate you just spending time. I'm getting distracted by the comments. Just appreciate you spending the time with us, and we love you guys. And have a great Wednesday, rest of the Wednesday. We love you, and we will see you soon. All right, everybody, have a great night. See you later.